Hello ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm going to be demonstrating how to create your final still life drawing using oil pastels. Materials that you'll need today. You'll need several different pieces of colored paper. It's up to you which colors you choose. You're going to need oil pastels. You can sort and find from here. And you're going to need a pencil and maybe some of your previous drawings that you've done in the past. Start with your contour line drawings. Each one of these contour line drawings are done on a different colored piece of paper. Again, don't do value and shading on these drawings. Next, you just sort your oil pastels corresponding to your colored paper. Again, I've done a lot of cool colors for purple, a lot of warm colors for red, and some more neutral colors for pink. So choose the colors that make sense for 5s, 4s, 3s, 2s, and 1s for your shading. Next, I'm going to be using my light source consistently on the left side of my drawings. So I'm using my darkest area on my color set of oil pastels, which is a purple, on this lighter purple color paper. So I'm blending within each side of my square with different colors. So I have a dark area on the left, and now I'm having a slightly lighter color, which is technically a blue, on this other side. So I'm blending from purple to blue here. And you'll notice that I'm overlapping my blues on top of the purples, and then I'm going to grab a purple, again just there, I grab my purple, and I'm putting that on top of the blue. So I'm blending back and forth, so it's very subtle and very gradual change. Next, I'm going from my blue to a lighter blue here, but I'm also going to be doing different pressures here. So I'm doing a little bit darker or heavier pressure on the left and gradually getting to the right with a little bit less pressure. Kind of with the same method that I did with my pencil from before. But I'm going to be switching to my lighter blue here that's going to blend on top of my darker blue, so I have that range. So I'm going from dark pressure on the right to the left with my light blue. I'm going to switch back to my dark blue and go from dark pressure on the left to lighter pressure on to the right and overlap those back and forth. Once I filled in those different areas, my final is going to be going from like a 1 to a 2 here. I have this kind of lighter teal color, which actually looks really pretty. And then I'm putting that medium to light blue on top of that and blending gradually across here. Just going back with the teal and on top of the light, and the light blue on top of the teal, back and forth throughout here. So you can see that each side of my square has several different colors. Next, I'm grabbing a paper towel and I'm smearing and smudging. Notice when I'm smearing and smudging that I'm just focusing on just each side. So I did that side, then I rotated my paper towel to a new clean edge, and I'm focusing on that area there. And I focused on that area there. Now I'm working on the next side, on a cleaner side of my paper towel, and smearing there. When you're smearing, it's okay if you go off the edge of the line a little bit because you're cutting those out anyway. Next, when you're working with your bottle, you're going to be focusing on the same techniques as you did with the drawing. So I'm starting with my red on the left side, and I'm blending to the right. Focus on pressure. So imagine that right there is a 5 level darkness. Then I'm going to add a little bit less pressure on here to kind of create almost a 4 and really focus on allowing that to blend gradually. So again, kind of less pressure here as I'm working towards the right, and then I can almost get into a 3. So I'm using a lot of this red to stretch across a lot of this bottle here, and then I'm switching to the orange. That orange, I'm starting in the center and kind of working my way to the left to blend from those 4s into the 5s, and then I'm blending to the right with a little bit lighter pressure so that blends gradually. So each one of these colors that I'm using, I'm overlapping each other. So there's really not 3 colors here. You could argue that there's 5. Now I'm having my highlight, my lightest area of my yellows. I'm putting a lot of pressure on top of that where it should be like a 1. And now I'm overlapping those yellows into the oranges and even into some of those reds so it blends gradually. I'm cleaning off my oil pastel a little bit on the edge and then filling in the top. Again, since we're cutting these out, it's okay if you kind of color outside the lines in some of these regards. But I'm going to go back and add that, that yellow kind of on top of some of those areas where it's necessary, and then I'm ready for the paper towel. So I'm smearing this paper towel just like before, focusing on the reds, changing the position, focusing on the red oranges, change the position, and then focusing on the yellows. Again, if you just smear with one the whole time, you're going to make a mess of your drawing. Final step is the sphere. I have on my sphere kind of a guiding lines so I know where to smear, and I lighten them up a little bit because, again, you don't want that to be visible through the oil pastels. I'm focusing on the really most dark areas, again, curving and blending in that C-shaped pattern, and kind of like the bottle, how I had that reds blend gradually throughout the whole sphere. I'm doing the same thing here. So pretend this purple that I'm using is basically the pencil, and you're blending from a 5 to a 4 to a 3, maybe even to a 2. Look how far I come across here. But then I want this to blend gradually, so I'm going back through here, and I'm actually holding my oil pastel sideways. That way you can stretch a longer area of your surface with that blending. Now I'm switching to this like a dark magenta, kind of a dark pink here. I'm overlapping a lot of my purple here on the far left and working to the right. Again, I'm really trying to eliminate all the different background paper that's visible and trying to fill that into the best of my ability. So I'm curving again, the opposite of that C shape, moving left to right across there. Again, we don't want to work in lines, we want to work in curves. And I'm saving a little bit of that edge on my right of my sphere for the lightest area, which is a really, really light pink. So now I'm ready to switch to my light pink. That's my highlight. I'm filling that in on there. Again, that little sliver can represent the 1. And then after I've pushed really hard on that, I just clean it off a little bit. Once you've pushed really hard on that, work back to the left. Again, overlapping those different areas, continuing to add those circular marks and those edges on there. Now I'm going back with the medium, and now I'm ready for the paper towel. Same way as before, smear with that paper towel in one area, and now that I've worked towards the middle, I'm going to switch so I don't contaminate that center area. Focus on the medium tones, again moving the same direction as my oil pastels, and then I'm rotating back the opposite way, again that counter curve mark or counter C mark with another clean area paper towel. Final step, or not final step, the next step is to add glue to the back of your craft paper. This craft paper is representing the foreground of your still life. Again, notice how I didn't just completely drown and flood the craft paper with glue. I'm putting just a little bit on, and then I'm really making sure that that gets to the edge perfectly and looks straight and looks nice. Then I'm going to flip it upside down, and I'm going to rub the bottom, really massage that so I don't smear any of the front. Final thing, you're going to arrange these different objects so they make sense. Things lower on the page are closer, things higher up are further away. You want to have overlap, but it must make sense. For example, that does not make sense. It's floating in space. So create a composition that makes sense and try to hide any flaws or imperfections of the craft paper with your object. Make sure you have also a consistent light source. Notice how that sphere needs to be rotated around so the shading is on the left and the lighter area is on the right. Create a composition where there's overlap, and then once you have that created, you're going to be focusing from the back side to the front side. In other words, you are making sure that things that are further in the back are glued down first, and then things that are in the foreground are glued down last. So I have that sphere glued down, and I'm actually going out of order here, and I catch myself luckily. I'm gluing down what is in front of the cube, but then I stop and realize, wait, I gotta get this down first. So I glue down the outside edge, or I'm putting glue on the outside edge of my cube, and I'm gonna put that cube down first because I wanna make sure that I can put that sphere in front of it. Once I've put that down, then kind of you can pull it a little bit. You have a little room for wiggle room for error, and then I'm massaging the back to make sure all that glue gets distributed evenly, and then you have your still life final oil pastel complete.